And welcome back, everyone, to Enter the Apex. I'm Garrett Weinzierl, here as always with Kyle Ferguson. Hey, dude.
Hey, Garrett.
How you doing?
I'm doing good.
Are you doing? You doing good? Doing good things in the game? Getting better at that aiming. Getting better at that not sliding into headshot range.
Oh, I just had to go up with that one again, huh? Yeah.
It just popped into my brain as I was rambling into an intro.
All right. Well, people got to know about our sweet win this week that we had together, where you had a total of 98 damage, and nobody else did anything. We just hid in the tower. We've been calling it treehouse.
Or Kyle, I'm gonna give you a lesson here in storytelling.
Okay.
Because you gave away the end. So everyone just forget what Kyle just said and gather round. Everyone, if this was class, let's everyone sit down, get on my level, and let's I'm gonna tell a story. So there you and I were with a random third. You know, we couldn't find a third that night. We were playing after we wrapped up into the Nexus, and we just wanted to shoot a couple fools before we went off for a late dinner, and couldn't find a third. And this is one of those games. So your tweet was just perfect, maximum humor, but it wasn't the real story because your tweet made it seem as if our goal in this particular game of Apex was to hide the entire game and then steal victory from our poor victims that actually took a final fight. That is not what actually happened. We dropped what we thought would be hot at Relay. I saw at least 3 other squads drop around the outskirts of it, but no one dropped on us, so we ended up not fighting. We heard gunshots, ran towards it, never found anyone. We then marched our asses from the top, northeast corner of the map, as far northeast as you can get without falling off a cliff and dying. We marched our way all the way to frickin' Bridges, which is like dead center of the map, essentially. Never finding anyone. Every building we moved through, Kyle, had doors opened, was picked clean. Clearly there were other people, but we never found them. And by the time we made it to Bridges, there was 2 other squads left? And the circle was already pretty small. And so we were just sitting there on top of the big bridge with the zip line up to it, thinking to ourselves, well, at this point, we should probably just wait. And so we finally heard some gunshots. It was in the cave to the west of the kind of the tallest outcropping in Bridges. Ran into the cave. I saw a guy. I started shooting at him. I'm like, all right, I see him. He's looting. I'm gonna pop him. He had no armor. It was instant red damage. All I had was a scout. Guy dies, we win.
It was basically the first 10 minutes of a zombie film. without the musical intro, because usually they have a musical intro where you kind of Spider-Man around some diseases or whatever, and there's some skull imagery,
or there's fake newscasts.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Lots of ones that flash and then buzz out because television.
I really like the guy that didn't do particularly great DC films, but he did a really awesome Dawn of the Dead remake. Oh my God, why am I blanking on his name? Anyway, moving on.
Yes, it was like that, except for then the movie ended when he found his first zombie and fought it.
Yeah, he shoots it and it's just like, you killed the last zombie, you've saved the world, congratulations.
And I'm running around the back, I'm going to get a flank, and I barely got up a first rock before it was over. Yeah. Perfect.
Oh,
perfect.
It was the loudest laughter I think has run through this house in quite a while, to the point where I came out for dinner and Kay's like, what the hell was so funny? I'm like, listen, I'm going to tell you a story about a game you don't play. It was great. It was a good time. So, that was a great win, Kyle. Well fought. I think it was the first one I've had with you.
Hey, to be fair, I will say well fought, because I didn't shoot at a guy who was walking at a very long distance. I would have done minimum damage.
Has that been an issue for you?
It takes control, yes.
Well, then I'm very glad you fought that urge.
I remember, a time in Halo with the sniper rifle, when you pop that head, they would go down in one shot. So when I see someone framed up, particularly now that the Havoc is in the game, I do have a tendency to let loose that shot with great hopes. It's squad, so, you get one guy, it doesn't end the game. You got to take everybody else out.
Yeah, then you've just pissed off 2 other people is all you really accomplished. But, just work on your Kraber skills. And then, once you're getting, 500-yard Kraber headshots, you can do whatever you want, man. I'm all for it.
No big deal.
Exactly. But good luck, because I can't land shit with that gun. Speaking of which, man, I can't decide what gun I like anymore. I've been all over the place this past week. I know I mentioned the Scout in that story. I've been using it a lot to relatively good effect. I had one of the best fights I have ever experienced in this game around the landed loot ship. I think this was around Cascades. Might have been Bridges again. I don't know. I've had a lot of river fights this week, and it all blends together. But man, it was landed, so I had zip lines everywhere. Like when the loot ship lands. And dude, I was just up and down, just all over the place. I always had sight lines on my targets, and I just had this G7 Scout with like a 2.4 scope. It was amazing. I was just murdering fools. It felt great.
I've really fallen into the Spitfire this last week. Regardless of, tier lists and whatnot, it's just a solid gun, as well as I think, like many, I've kind of landed on the Hemlock as like, that middle ground, that, okay, now we're cooking.
I've had a lot of fun with the Hemlock this week, but I use it like a Scout that hits harder, because I put it on single shot mode. I don't do the 3 burst unless it's, for whatever reason, the only gun I have and it's a close quarters fight. Then I'll switch it to burst. But and even then, I'm not sure that's the right call. I feel like I have more control over the gun if it's always in single. But yeah, I had some really fun games with the Hemlock. I mean, it does good damage. I mean, it's only 18 damage a shot to the body, but it can fire relatively quickly. No, that's
I like it.
Yeah. I like marksman rifles essentially. So right now I really like it in the Scout. I think the R301. The R301 is getting real close to my favorite gun, because I can turn it into a Scout if I really want to, but I can also have full auto when people, get in my grill. So I've been all about the gun synergy. I have not been. I think we talked about this last week. I have not been going for what I usually do in battle royales, which is I want a gun for close range and I want a gun for range. I feel like it's just pointless in this game right now. You just get something to burn through the shields, and then get something that will finish the kill if your clip is empty, and it probably will be, because magazines. The gun nuts out there are losing their minds over me that I'm calling them clips.
Well, I think we can have a little bit of leeway. You actually take bullets for one gun, and they magically transform into the magazine for that particular gun. They have different sizes, but somehow they end up in there.
Yes, and so my gun nerdery goes, that doesn't make sense. One magazine is not interchangeable with another gun for the most part.
That's just avoiding that extra crafting screen where you gotta make take the bullets and put them in the magazine and.
Yeah, but whatever the case is, usually I just like some kind of vague rifle and a Peacekeeper, if I can find it. If I can't find the Peacekeeper, I've been using an R99 as my secondary. Like, I just want to finish them, just pour damage into them as fast as I can until they die.
Not falling for the shotguns. It's still a surprise to me how different those guns are compared to everything else I've ever played. Something's up with the shotguns and my understanding of them.
Are you aiming down sights? Because I don't think you should be aiming down sights with the shotguns.
I'm working on that a lot, actually, because you're right. And something we talked about with our guests as well, that it's just not something you need to do all the time. And if anything, you should kind of fire wide and then aim down when you've got that final kill that you're going for, or someone's slipping behind a rock or something like that.
With most guns, I think with the shotgun, unless you have a precision choke on the Peacekeeper, you should just be hip firing.
Yeah.
I don't. Yeah, because then, to me, it feels exactly like the Halo shotgun, which is weird because I've only ever played Halo with a controller, but still, it just makes sense to me. It clicks. The second I aim down sight with a shotgun, I'm just like, I don't know. Plus, with the precision choke, you can actually charge it up and then let go of your aim down sights, and it'll still have the choked up shot for about a second after you stop aiming down sights. So you can kind of charge it up and then release your ADS and fire from the hip with a charged up precision choke.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. There's so much more accuracy with these shotguns needed. I remember on console, basically what you do is you kind of set up you'd angle your gun to where you think the head's going to be, and then you'd sort of Wasada or joystick walk sideways back and forth until that kind of framed up with what a head was going to look like.
I love the idea of joystick Waseda. Yeah,
Yeah.
you would strafe. You would strafe and keep your reticule at relative head height, and that's why crouching worked so damn well. Stuff like that, especially with my friends who were not particularly good at console shooters. But yeah, so I've just been all over the place. You're absolutely right. I really like the Spitfire. Spitfire is another real favorite of mine. The damage that thing outputs is pretty nuts. I mean, getting 40 headshot damage, and I've, for whatever reason, of all of the fully automatic weapons, the Spitfire, its recoil really clicks for me. Like,
Yeah.
it just seems natural. Like, the gun does exactly what I would expect it to do when I just lay on the trigger.
You can counteract it very easily by walking backwards while firing and kind of aiming that mouse down as you do.
Yeah. Oh my god. I had someone not move. They were like in this alcove wedged between. I don't know the exact location. It's one of these kind of like small little buildings, kind of in between bridges and cascades, but a little bit to the east, like between two mountains. And I always seem to end up there, and I always seem to have a good fight there. I don't know why, but people always seem to funnel through this valley and have a fight in these little buildings. And there's two little, I don't know, they look like small grain silos to me, but this lifeline had put herself right in between them, and it was a good spot. She got the jump on me, but she didn't move, and I just funneled an entire clip of Spitfire into this lifeline, just dropped her immediately. It was wonderful.
The game has announced this morning that it has 50 million players. So I don't think we'll be seeing those sick plays go away anytime soon. There's still a lot of new people coming to this game.
Yes. Yeah, and without, rank or MMR or anything of that nature, the matchups can be wildly imbalanced, I've noticed.
It's been fascinating to watch. We're coming from a MOBA sphere that is very particular about its MMRs, its ranked kind of plays, and making sure that you fight opponents and have teammates of equal skill so everyone's kind of on the same page. In a battle royale, you don't really need that, but you need a population that is interested enough to make sure there is a give and take. And in fact, this week, there has been a rather prevalent strategy among the randoms I played with, where if the opening screen, the champion looks spooky, you drop far away so that champion will inevitably get lost in the firefights and at some point will lose. And then once the champion has fallen and the character is repeated again, thank you so much for saying that a second time, then you all start booking it until you find gunfire.
That's interesting. I mean, but you're really only made aware of the overstated champion if they are indeed the champion from the last game, and there's nothing to say that any other random player in there isn't also wildly more skilled than you are.
Totally. And didn't win a game or, just been dropping hot for fun all night, doing some stream or something. Absolutely. But it was interesting to see that be such a prevalent strategy among the populace.
Yeah, I haven't seen that, but I've been playing, especially the past week, almost exclusively with premates. And it's I've finally been getting games in with my old PUBG friends, and it's hot drop all the time, basically. The closest thing we've been doing to a quiet drop is going pit, and we just get guns at pit, and then we immediately go to run off and murder whoever is there and take their stuff. It's been working out pretty well.
Effective.
Yeah, it's solid. It works. And except when it doesn't, and we get outskilled and die. But more often than not, it's worth it. Exactly.
Then you reload right in, and that's the weird thing about so many of these requests I'm hearing is we need MMR, otherwise this is just a fiesta. But nothing would sound worse to me at this current get good point and my enjoyment of the game than it being like, oh dear, you lost points, you suck. Worst match next. Like, no, like this is so much of the theme of the game. As long as the game is growing and getting new players, we can exist in this ecosystem. There is something to say that as the game goes on, that we need that MMR ranked system in order to make better matches. A lot of people who have become frustrated with this game over the past 3 weeks are really starting to highlight the idea of the tournaments and what a barbaric practice they are. And they are a little insane, when you get right down to it. We talked about it with Dreadnought last week, but people are trashing a bunch of noobs for points as fast as they can. And some people are doomsaying this about the game. That is an unhealthy, unsportsmanly activity.
Oh, get a life. It's that. I'm sorry, you just described the Hunger Games, which last I checked is basically the inspiration for this entire game mode.
Right.
Like it's fine. I don't see anything. Whatever. Like really. Like how often is Shroud really ending up in your games? Because if it was more than once in the last week, I'm impressed.
There is one complaint that did hit me as interesting that I've heard, which is as you learn strategy, particularly as a noobish player, what you realize is you should only pick fights that are already started, meaning two people start fighting and then you run in and join the fray and take advantage of the situation.
Yes, I'm all for that. I mean, it gives you easier targets. You're gonna get better at shooting faster because your targets are going to be more. They're not going to be focused on you.
Absolutely. And when you think of it in just that vacuum of a thought, it can be very tilting. Then there's no creativity. There is no skill. I'll just hide until the idea, of course, being that this is a strategy you do for now. And as you improve, you move on to actually owning fools. But for now, you're going to take advantage of this, great little thought. There's a lot of people that are hoping that mechanics can break this somehow. And that is interesting to me. Because one thing that has been removed from these games over time is zombies. But zombies are interesting, or some sort of target that puts out loot or something, because it gets people to shoot. It gets people to expose themselves in some sort of way and get the game moving in a different direction rather than two people see and then I run in and take advantage of the situation.
I think a lot of that, too, will come with more and better and rarer loot, because the drop pods should be doing this, and I don't really feel that they are.
Yeah, I feel you there.
And we know new loot and weapons are coming. How many of it will be kind of reserved for those drop pods is beyond me. But I don't know. And I also think it's just the meta still needs to develop, because things like yellow armor, yellow helmets makes a huge difference in the end game. Your chances of actually surviving that end fight. I definitely lost a game last night because one of the first opponent I opened up on in the final fight had yellow armor, and I was just like, shit. I just have too much damage to do to this person. But where was I going with this? I lost my train of thought, Kyle.
Break in position, drop boxes. That help you?
Yeah. Yes, more or less. But I wouldn't necessarily be against any of that. But I like Apex so much in the where it is right now that I don't really think I want to add like freaking zombies to the map. I don't know.
Too much, surely.
Experiment with a different mode, I guess, because like as I have mentioned, Titanfall does have creeps, and I did like the creeps in Titanfall. But it also seems a little strange because the maps there were significantly smaller than what we're playing with here in Apex Legends. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm really enjoying the feel of the game right now. I feel I've really kind of wrapped my head around it. So I don't see anything wrong with the strategy of running towards bullets, because I don't care how freaking skilled or unskilled you are. That's a solid strat either way. Like,
well, this is a big thing that happens with movies all the time too. You made a movie, it's really popular. Why couldn't it have been more for me? And with this game growing to such a huge population size, there's a lot of people looking at it saying, "Oh, my friends are playing it. I wish it matched my needs more." And it's very interesting to hear what various people want out of this game, particularly when we're sitting on the edge of what it can be. It's a fascinating, chicken that's going to spring forth from this egg, right? Because we don't know. They have a powder keg, and which way is it going to explode in?
Yeah, no, totally. But I don't know. I still have so many thoughts about this, like people getting tilted about getting third teamed. But to me, that's the next extra layer that you need to get over to really excel. Like everyone's on equal playing field. Like you might third team them and then win, and then two other teams may show up and kill your ass because you just made a ton of noise as well. Like I feel like some people are talking about this far too binary. Like this is the only way to play. It's your choice to play that way. Yes, other people may play that way and make you mad, but you could also do it, and you could also get better at countering getting a third team showing up and trying to kill you. The most memorable fights I have had in this game are when the fighting just doesn't end. More teams keep showing up and keep coming after us, and you barely even have a chance to loot. Like, you're just quickly cracking boxes open just to find more bullets so you can continue fighting. That, to me, is where this game really shines, and I do not want to deter that at all. I do not want every fight in this game to become a 3v3. That sounds boring as hell to me.
I would take capture the flag. I think the running in this game is so fantastic that having my hands occupied by a flag and getting back to my side would just be a delight. But I love capture the flag as it is. In the woods, good fun.
Fair. But, yeah. Anyways, in other news, Apex Legends was leaked an entire year ago and no one believed it, Kyle.
So this was a map that someone dug up, correct?
It's not a map, it's the map. It's Kings Canyon, essentially as it appears now, except that it was oriented like with the eastmost areas in the north position. So if you just took the whole map and turned it one tick counterclockwise, so that Swampland, it was called Swampland back then, now it's just called Swamps. So just turn it so Swamps is the northernmost point. Everything is more or less the same. Pit was called Arena. It's in the same location. Slum Lakes was called the same damn thing. Artillery didn't change. Relay was called Satellite Dish. But yeah, the exact map leaked a year ago, and no one believed it. There's even a community manager reply in here that says, "Oh, I remember when this happened. I was really relieved when no one believed it."
Not only did they not believe it, they didn't want it to be real. It's rather fascinating now that we know that this is such a good game to read things like, "I really hope this doesn't happen," says My Lace, and Blitz, "This better not be another Battle Royale game. Honestly, this would suck." It just replies, enjoyed with time.
Well, you can also understand, like, they may still believe that, right? That you can understand, at least I can understand someone who really enjoys Titanfall for its own more traditional deathmatch multiplayer, not wanting it to become a battle royale.
Sure.
So to me, I think the smartest decision they made was making this its own standalone game.
Yeah.
Because honestly, it's so different from Titanfall. You know, when I heard that a Titanfall battle royale was coming out, I'm like, yes, the pilot mobility in Titanfall is my favorite in the history of any deathmatch shooter. And there's essentially none of it here. You can't double jump. You can't wall run. It doesn't matter. It's a great game. The fact that it's in the Titanfall universe is really, to me, irrelevant.
And it would have had a price tag, which honestly, in something as new as Battle Royales are, is just insane. You gotta try it to believe it.
Yeah, that's the thing. So it may not be for you, even if you liked Titanfall, but I think that's all right. I mean, it's just a very different type of shooter in my mind. So... anyway, speaking of possible leaks that some people are not believing, but who knows if it'll turn out to be true, is a new hero. I mean, there's a lot of possible new hero leaks, but one in particular has dominated the scuttlebutt conversation in the last week, and that's Octane. And rumor has it this hero is going to have a stim pack type ability like exists in Titanfall. I honestly don't really remember how stim packs even work in Titanfall, but that's what everyone's been talking about. And debate really kind of reached fever pitch when photo of hero art in Photoshop, so it was a picture of someone's monitor of this hero's art in Photoshop, got posted, and everyone was like, it's easy to fake, rah, rah, rah. But then an anonymous source sent Daily Esports the quote-unquote original high-res art instead of just a photo of a monitor. And it sure as hell looks like official Apex Legends art. Like, if this is a hoax, whoever you are, your art is dead on. You've nailed the Apex Legends style for their illustrations of heroes.
Which can be copied, but, this would fit so well in the sort of world they've made, and it's very, very Borderlands, Psycho style.
Yeah, it's also Pilot, though. It's like a pilot from Titanfall crash-landed out in the Borderlands and became a Psycho.
Yeah.
So, to me, it's exactly... They've really captured the essence of this. To me, I'm basing this off of nothing but total feel, but I would put this, lean into, this is likely a new hero. Like, this seems legit. Whether it's the next hero, who knows, could be leaked out of order, but this seems like a real leak to me.
I like it. Bring him on.
Same. Yeah, this is totally like the kind of hero. Also, a little bit of Junkrat going on in there, who, frankly...
absolutely.
could just hang out in Borderlands, right? So nothing yet. I was expecting Battle Pass info to hit like right on March 1st. There was a rumor going around about that, which means I was expecting info about Season 1 and probably a new hero, at least an announcement, but...
That's not your fault. They said March, and everyone just assumed if you don't put a date on March, it's March 4th. Why haven't you told us anything?
Yeah. Yeah, but they seem to be doing the kind of midweek releases as well, like most games do. So I wouldn't be surprised to see an announcement on like a Tuesday or a Wednesday.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. But the same anonymous source that sent Daily Esports the Octane art for the quote unquote leaked hero, they also claim to know how the Battle Pass is going to function. They stated that the Battle Pass is going to release on March 12th. Which I guess would also mark the beginning of Season 1, and that it's going to be a standalone item purchasable for a set price, which basically means you cannot buy it with coins. Which, if that just means there's just a dollar amount associated with it, and I just give them my password and I'm charged, I like that a lot. If anyone who's listened to me talk about any other video game that has a fake currency system knows how much I don't like in-game currency systems.
Well, that makes sense, because the Battle Pass is supposed to be a quest sort of system, but guarantees you loot if you're playing. And that's why I'd pay real money, is to bypass the system for a game I'm playing.
Right. And it also is just a cleaner, makes more sense type of system if by buying the Battle Pass, you're also increasing... you could possibly offer coins as a reward from the Battle Pass.
Sure.
As a way to kind of sweeten the pot. Who knows if they'll do that or not. That wasn't mentioned in this anonymous source giving Battle Pass details, but they also claimed that Octane is releasing either before or alongside the Battle Pass.
That wouldn't match their pledge for new legends, plural, with Season 2, which is supposed to start in June.
Well, this is the thing about the roadmap. The roadmap image is not the best designed thing in the world. Every season will have a Battle Pass, a new legend, at least one, a new weapon, at least one, and new loot. Every single one of them. That roadmap is super like misleading. If you look at the Battle Pass, legend, weapon, etc., they have icons to the right, and all 4 of those icons for those 4 boxes appear in each season.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, this is assumption, but it's been more or less... I think it was the Daily Esports article reminded me of this because they had to post an edit saying, oh, sorry, we misread the roadmap. It looks like there'll be new everything in every season.
That's fair, but honestly, roadmaps are suspect and bizarre right now. I think Anthem sullied them for me when they had their release schedule of when you could play early, and it was just hideous.
I don't even remember seeing an official Anthem one. I learned from, I think it was Polygon, that was like, hey, here's your guide on how to spend money to play this game first. And I was just like, ugh.
What a mess.
Oh, thank God Apex Legends came out. Anyways, yeah, so it's and also Legends is plural in that roadmap, and then it assigns an icon, and that icon appears in each season. So to me, I take that as we're going to get more than one new legend per season.
Yeah, I mean, these are all expected things. The new loot is perhaps the most mysterious one on this list.
Yeah, I mean, I would expect it to be, well, loot could mean 2 things in my mind. So they show an in-game capsule, which gives you attachments, armor, ammo, guns, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, are we getting new attachments? Possibly new armor. I don't know what you would do with armor to make it more interesting. We're already up to having an effective additional 100 health if you get the best armor. So, but you could definitely make new attachments. It's something PUBG's done multiple times over the course of its existence. So much to the fact now that I'm unfamiliar with basically every scope that's in PUBG right now. Because at one point, this was a while ago, they just like, all new scopes, here you go.
That's probably the healthiest way to do it, because anything else that you could come up with would be stepping on the toes of an eventual legend, such as jump boots that make you jump better. And oh, I got a golden jump boot. Now I can charge up a jump. But that could be some guy's ability down the road.
Absolutely. And that's that's something I guess we're just going to have to see. But I would imagine we're not going to see items like that. Also, I don't, based on nothing, but to me it would feel weird if they added new equipment slots.
Sure, this early on.
Yeah, like I feel like the slots we have are probably going to be that this is the framework we are now going to be working with from now until forever. I mean, obviously I could be wrong, but it just seems strange because you could just add new guns that have more equipment slots or interact with attachments in unique ways, like what we saw with the Havoc.
Right, it's so interesting to compare it to other games like RPGs or MOBAs. If you add items there that suck, people simply will not interact with them. But the more you inflate the gun pool here, the more fascinating those Mozambique openers become.
Yeah, there's also they could just take guns out as well. But I get what you're talking about. Like if they don't take guns out and they just keep adding guns so that there's a wider spread across the entire map, you're right. You're forcing more players to interact with more guns because they just don't have an option. They have to work with what they find. Suddenly, well, hope you're okay with the triple take because that's all you can find.
Hey, I've got a secret love for the alternator. You know, what can I say?
Dude, the alternator's a great early game gun. My buddies and I were getting stuck with alternators a lot the past week. And, you know, if everyone has white armor or no armor, it's a fantastic gun.
Yeah.
Once they get blue and beyond, though, it's kind of, well, it sucks.
Yeah, it's the emotional attachment. I'm sad that I have to put it down because, you know, then I get that increased magazine. And I know in my heart and in my tier lists that I need to give up, you know, the alternator. We won our first fight. All right, you know, grab something better. But, you know, it's a badge.
Yeah. There have been a lot of other weapon leaks over the course of basically the last 2 weeks. We just didn't really have time to talk about a lot of them with Dreadnought on. But one of them is one of my favorite guns from Titanfall, and that's the CAR SMG. The CAR acronym, I don't know what the hell it stands for. But it's a slower firing SMG, and it hits pretty damn hard, and at least in Titanfall, did not have too much recoil. This is a gun I would typically start with on my kit in PvP.
Interesting. I didn't run into this one in the campaign yet.
Really?
No.
It's interesting. But whatever the case, I really like this gun. I was a big fan of it. Would love to see it come to Apex Legends. I would assume it would fall somewhere between the R99 and the R301.
Wait, I might be wrong here. This thing kind of is a... oh, dear. The flatline. Kind of just looks like a flatline to me. So what's special about it?
Doesn't look like a flatline to me at all, but I mean, it's just an SMG that hits harder but doesn't fire as fast, but has pretty predictable recoil. So it's pretty damn accurate. To me, it looks like a Nerf gun.
Sure.
I mean, it looks like it would shoot Nerf darts, but I've always enjoyed this gun in Titanfall. Another weapon that was data mined was called a proto hold beam, and the weapon's description mentioned something about draining energy from robotic targets, which makes me go, oh, this is like a holdover from when they were still experimenting with Titans in the game.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be holding out hope for the proto hold beam unless, I don't know, they're going to add a lot more robotic heroes maybe, because really Pathfinder's the only robot at the moment.
I wouldn't be fair to poor Pathfinder. Maybe we could do that sort of shield damage we were talking about.
Yeah. And again, I'm with Dreadnought. It'd be nice to see energy ammo just do that in general, but...
Well. I mean, it kind of sounds like a Zarya sort of business. You just have a hold-down, giant shotgun sort of range.
But a channeled beam that you just wiggle on people to damage them?
Exactly. Like a horrible melee weapon.
Yeah, I don't know that I want that, Kyle, unless it, like, could it go through, like, doors or could it just, like, clip through barriers? That'd be interesting.
As long as there's a graphic on it, right? We don't want to get cheesed. You have to like some melting right on the walls.
That'd be interesting. Yeah. Oh, I mean, you could just see the beam coming through the wall, hitting you, right?
Just slicing around. That'd be awful.
Just like a lightsaber coming through the wall.
Yeah.
I don't know. Just needs to be something unique about it, other than it's just a channeled beam. But yeah, we'll see. And then there was also a data mine claiming to know when an L star would be releasing. This was found around the same time that actually the Havoc was data mined, and they had numbers associated with them, and so Gaming Intel was taking those numbers to mean release dates. But they were expecting it to be March 2nd for this L star, which didn't come to pass. So this was another Titanfall weapon. It's a rapid fire light machine gun, kind of like the Spitfire, but it uses energy ammo.
Oh yeah, this is the primary weapon that sort of the enemies have in the opener.
Do they? I haven't played Titanfall's
little
campaign.
red balls.
Shoots little red balls?
Yeah.
I haven't played Titanfall 2's campaign in forever, but cool that you've seen it. But yeah, so a lot of other stuff going on, but these are some of the more popular weapon leaks that have come out. But that LSAR didn't come to pass, so we'll see. We'll see. The first season is coming up. I bet some of these will show up. Proto Hold Beam seems the weirdest, so I kind of want to see it.
Yeah, I mean, all these are a bit plain when perhaps compared to the Havoc, which I thought was a really exciting gun to have as their first one and something I enjoy searching for, even though it's kind of landed in that B-A tier for a lot of people. So they made the right choice. Throwing in another SMG would kind of add to that blood in my head that is the R99 R301. Yeah, like flatline, like where am I?
R301 if you want to have less issues with aiming.
I have no doubt that they're unique, but they're still kind of in that like machine gun kind of mindset.
We'll play some. I'll give you a crash course. I've
right.
The R99 and R301 have very strict divisions in my mind. So
as they should, I'm sure.
Yep. But just really enjoy that R301. So, anyways, that's more or less it for news, unless something broke. But I haven't seen anything hitting the feeds. So let's move into our strategy discussion for this week, which comes to us from the A-Move Discord, which I'll have a link to that actually in the post for this episode. Head on over to amove.tv/enterapex, find the episode 4 post, and I'll have a link to the A-Move Discord for you all. But Feralfish commented in there asking if we could discuss positioning. Feralfish said, I've recently paid a lot more attention to my position with respect to my squad. Stay close in case a fight breaks out, and the enemies don't shoot until you're in a good position to engage. And I think it's helping a lot. And Feralfish has absolutely landed on something here. If especially kind of what we were talking about at the very beginning of the show, Kyle, and you kind of learning to not fire every time you see an enemy. That's a really important tip to know when you're getting into a battle royale, especially one that, at least at the moment, as is the case with Apex Legends, only has a 3-person squad mode.
Why would that matter?
Well, in solo, there's only one of them, so if you can kill them, cool, you got a kill. In squads, if you kill them, well, can you kill the other two? Do you know where the other two are? Did you just stir up a hornet's nest?
That's very true. Yeah, good point.
Yeah, it's a statistically higher chance that more people will descend upon you.
What I think that's interesting about positioning, as so many people are experiencing their first battle royale, like me, is it's not so much a skill yet that people have developed, it's a personality. And we found this with our own games, that when we 3-squad, you're very dominant. You have a dominant personality in these games. You've played a lot of these, and you're in the front. You're very go, get in their faces now. And I immediately break for a superior position, whatever that might be, whether it's up high or anytime a fight breaks, I immediately want to have some sort of advantage. So it takes me a bit to get into the battle. Depending on who our third is, my choice can be disastrous.
Yes, and that's where I would like to talk about positioning and frame it within time. Because I think the best way to think about positioning relative to your teammates is time. I have been calling this the 5-second rule, and no, I'm not talking about how fast you can eat food after you drop it on the floor. I think a good rule of thumb is that you should be able to get to your squad mates within 5 seconds. And if you think about the game in that way, I think it's an easy way to think, okay, cool. It's fine for me to be where I am. I can report if I have to. And there's a lot more wiggle room with this, with how far away you can be from your squad, with things like the verticality that exists on the one map that we have. Or if you think about, oh, well, I know that there's a steep hill between me and my teammates, so I can get down there real fast. Or there's a long staircase, anything where you can abuse the slide mechanic within this game. Zip lines, anything of that nature can kind of help you keep this in your mind and get further away from your teammates safely. And what I mean by this is that I don't want you to be stacked up, because that's bad. You should not be all on top of each other, because right now, Kyle, one of the most popular things to do is just spam grenades. And if you're all tightly packed together, especially, my God, if you're in one of the, used to call them shit shacks in PUBG. Like, say you're in the Cascades and you're one of those 2-door shacks. Why?
Yeah.
Don't do that. This is the worst in my opinion, the biggest mistake you can make in this game as far as positioning is putting 3 players in one of those shacks. Don't do that. But be within five seconds of each other, because I think it's really important that you be spread out, but not too spread out, because you want to be able to back your friends up. If you're a lifeline player, you want to be able to get to your friends quickly so that you can get them back into the fight if it's safe. There's a whole other conversation to be had here about when it is and is not safe to resurrect your teammates. TLDR, I would say the answer is usually it's a bad idea to res them unless you're pretty certain everyone's dead. But it's certainly more nuanced to it than that. But again, be within 5 seconds of your teammates. And I would say, Kyle, you should use that as well in the back of your mind for if you're trying to get an advantageous position. If it takes you more than 5 seconds to get to that position, you're doing a disservice to your teammates.
Right. You're abandoning them to whatever battle they're currently in so you can run around somewhere sweet.
Yeah. And an advantageous position doesn't have to be up high. It could be on the side. It could be a flank. Especially if you're playing something like a Pathfinder. Like, suddenly your understanding of where you can go and how you can flank broadens widely if you have access to Pathfinder's abilities.
Sure, he's also very loud about it, though. So that's kind of the downside of Pathfinder as the catch-up guy, because that's something that I was using him for early on too. It wasn't for to augment my sweet skills. It was as a mechanic in order to actually get loot and enjoy looting. Because when I first got into this game, there was a habit of my team leader, whoever had played the most, hollering, stay on me, as I watched him get everything he wanted, and I'm sitting on like a P2020.
Boy, I don't want to play with those people. Looting bores me.
That's why it isn't, you land, particularly if you land in the middle of nowhere, you can break off there, 5-second rule is out, but once you've all kind of generally managed to get a basic setup that you're happy with, then it all comes together.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's where kind of the skill floor is on Pathfinder. I don't think it's bad to do what you were doing. If you find yourself playing with people who want to spend a lot of time looting, it's not how I like to play the game, but it's certainly the way some people do it, especially if you're new to the game. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. So by all means, pick Pathfinder if you just want to get a little further away from your team, because that's the style that they play, and then catch back up with them. However, I think as you are now noticing, the more you get into this game, the more you seek out fights. If you're using that zipline to catch up to your teammate, you've just gave your squad's position away to anyone who noticed that you just ziplined. And yes, he is loud, but that's that skill floor I'm talking about, is you want to save those abilities for when the gunfire starts, for when people aren't listening for zipline sounds. They're hearing Spitfires going off and they can't hear a damn thing.
Well, then you're on cooldown for the time when you actually need it, which is to reposition. You open your shots. Guess what? Now the guys you're fighting and those 2 groups hiding in the hills that want you to fight now know where you are, and finding a new position is really, really important. Yeah.
And this is basically moving us into the general positioning conversation that I want to have. Like, this needs a quote from a movie here. It is not just for Batman. Be mindful of your surroundings. This is kind of getting into what I was just talking to you about, Kyle, saying, like, just being up high isn't the only way you can have an advantageous position. Just be mindful of your surroundings and what is around you and how you can utilize it, because you can be on the same level as who you are fighting with and have a significantly more advantageous position than they do. A really good way to explain this is the sand dunes that are on the outskirts of Skulltown. Like, they could be up high, and on the sand dunes, you could be down low but have cover. You have a way more advantageous position than they do. You don't need to take 15 seconds to climb up to the roof of a Skulltown building.
I like Skulltown.
I do too. I definitely die there more often than not, but I have a good bead on how to move around there, and that's, again, being mindful of your surroundings. Do you know where all the half-open garage doors are on Skulltown versus the doors that you have to open in relation to the staircases that go up the building, providing you're not playing Pathfinder and it's irrelevant whether you need a staircase or not? That is all the kind of stuff you need to keep in your mind, and that's where the strategy turns into just why it's important to just play games. The more you play this game, the more you're going to learn the locations here, especially right now when there's only one map. I mean, Kyle, the interface of this game basically tells you that you are on Kings Canyon every chance it gets. In your friend list, it tells you your friends are playing Apex Legends on Kings Canyon. When it loads in, it shows you the map and it says the map up in the corner. Mark my words, there will be more than one map at a certain point. So right now it is so advantageous to just keep playing that play, or pressing that play button and just logging games and gaining experience and learning the lay of the land.
For speed of movement as well.
Oh, totally. Absolutely. You you know exactly the faster ways to get around the map. And that's kind of what we've been doing with like our pit drops, and we push into runoff, or we've been also doing a lot of market drops, and then we push into Skulltown. So we get into market. We usually have a single fight in market. Pit, usually there's no fight. Market, more or less have to fight against one other group. We win market, get all the loot, push into Skulltown, and fight with whoever survived that initial blowout.
Yeah, that's really important. We're talking about positioning here sort of as you're playing, but, the drop strategy of the game. When you see too many people going where you're planning to go, there is kind of this web you can start to build. And it's a really fun strategy. Like, you're going for Skulltown, you'll have it, but there's thousands of colors raining on it. Right to the west of it is this pile of boxes. And then you can run in there without having to go down a dune or a big hill. And just hitting that first and being like, I got something, because I'm going to be late, allows you to actually participate.
Yeah. And just a little bit more west is a pile of smaller buildings. And people don't tend to drop there. So it's pretty safe for your squad to actually break up. Send one person to the boxes, send two people to the buildings. Because the box is pretty decent chance not going to have enough guns for all three of you. And then you can then meet back up at the boxes, push into Skulltown, and hopefully win a fight. You're then getting there. You're getting into the make yourself the third team strategy. That clearly makes some people mad, but it works.
Particularly when you didn't drop on top the actual title name of an area.
Yeah.
And you were going to be fighting a little down on loot anyway.
The other good thing about Skulltown is it's just so damn big. I mean, it's literally an X if you look at the formation of the building. So you have kind of four corners that you can drop within. I like dropping on the outskirts and working my way inside. So there's a lot of last minute deviations that you can adjust for if you're trying to hot drop into Skulltown. You're just like, oh, crap. Well, they took that corner. We're going to go over here. And you'll be okay. You do have to loot extremely fast, though, because you can just close the distance in Skulltown extremely fast.
But it's also safe to approach, which is why I think my least favorite place right now is Airbase. I just hate walking in that open.
It is very open and very bottlenecked. You're forced to deal with a lot of issues of verticality.
Yeah.
A lot of, basically, anyone coming into Airbase once you're already in it instantly has the advantage over you.
Mm-hmm.
Which is why it's also fun to drop pit, kill everyone, and run off, and then push south onto Airbase.
Right, or run off as well as a kind of equal playing field.
Yeah, runoff is one of my favorite places to fight. That and market. I really enjoy market fights. Again, because it's not forcing you like Airbase into a certain type of fight. My two least favorite places right now is down in the river anywhere. I don't care if it's Cascade Bridges or for some reason you're down near water treatment in the river. I hate being down there. It is a kill box. And same goes for being down in Airbase. But that's where our composition, I think, can change it for you. If you're playing Caustic, hide in the buildings in Airbase. Force them to come to you.
Sure.
But yeah, that's kind of my general positioning thing. Again, just be within 5 seconds of your teammate and don't spend more than 5 seconds adjusting your position when a fight breaks out.
Right. Well, and what we're saying is perhaps obvious on paper, but listen, what we were talking about earlier, what's happening with people's minds, they're becoming frustrated, but there's no reason to. There is a lot of avenues to improve on this game very directly, very purposefully. But if you just tilt on the fact that you're always getting third squatted, you're going to be out. It's a really well made game, which is why we're here.
Yeah, absolutely. And a couple more tips before we leave. Obviously, I think you can. Another way you can break that 5-second rule is with the heroes that you play. We already talked about how Pathfinder and his zipline capabilities let you move very quickly, but also think of Wraith and using her speed boost ability along with her portal, and how that allows you to flank. And the same thing for Bangalore. Chances are you're going to get shot at and you're going to start moving quicker, and you can close the gap. You can set up better flanks that way. These are all things to keep in the back of your mind when these fights break out.
Right. The forward scout Bangalore is my favorite because she's going to use that runaway most often to run away and run back to the team, perhaps. And I really like that feature. Whereas Wraith, I never have any idea where she's going to go. Usually there's some guy with a shotgun that's like, I got them all. And you're like, where are you off to?
I love Bangalore as bait. Purposefully being on Bangalore and breaking out from my squad to draw fire from the enemy position. So if you kind of, without visuals, if you think your enemy is dead ahead in the center and there's cover to the right and left, break to the right or left where you're parallel now with the enemies so that they're hiding in view of your two other squad mates that didn't go with you. Suddenly you've exposed them to the rest of your squad. Obviously make sure your squad is on board for this, but I love doing that.
Yeah.
Just keep moving. Keep moving, keep repositioning. Don't trade fire, for the love of God. So, anyways, let's do some Q&A, or as I think I'm going to start calling it, because it's hilarious, Q&A pecs. Let's do some Q&A pecs, Kyle.
Q&A pecs. Yes, I see it.
Yes. Hate me all you want.
Would also work for a workout stream, sure.
Mastodon wrote in and said, "Hey, Bamboozlers, I love the show and jumped on board as soon as I heard on the instance that you had launched Enter the Apex. I love the game, but since launch, so many of us have had the same issue, crashes to desktop. Myself and what feels like about 30% from what I've seen on the subreddit and forums of the player base have the same problem. My PC is beyond the recommended specs, yet since launch, I have consistently crashed on average every 3 or 4 games. I have searched for any answers and ways to troubleshoot the problem with the game and tried them all. Downing visuals, task manager, easy anti-cheat changes, reinstalling everything. Nothing seems to affect it, and no one should have to down visuals just to participate in fun. EA and Respawn seem to be entirely silent about this. Do they acknowledge this problem, and when will it be fixed? I feel like they should be focusing on stabilizing the player base before balance and new content patches. Many of us are at the same point that it isn't worth playing until they fix this. Could you please aim a spotlight on this issue for us that would love to continue playing, but are heartbroken for our teammates when we seem to abandon them with only 2 or 3 squads left? Continue the great show." We haven't brought this up because I don't know about you, Kyle, but I have barely experienced any crashes in this game.
Yeah. The system of the game is more forgiving than others because you will start a new game and quickly bury those sad feelings with more gameplay. But it's true. The party leader is left. The no reconnect feature, it's pretty darn sad and frustrating to have happen to you.
Yeah, it's real bad, and I finally experienced it this past week. I disconnected myself, I believe, twice since the last episode, and have had teammates leave twice in the past week. And it really does stink that it doesn't have some type of reconnect feature. You can reconnect in PUBG. I don't know why they don't let you do it here in Apex. I don't see any reason why that wouldn't be allowed. So I would say the first thing I want to see is just a reconnect feature. That would be a bit of a band-aid at the very least, where crap, I crashed. Let me get back in the game, and well, hopefully running in place didn't get you shot by someone or killed by the circle. But
yeah,
at least it gives you that chance, right? Where at the moment we don't have one. It's just like, well, cool. Now we're a 2-man squad.
Yeah.
But yeah, clearly they need to address this. I haven't had the same issue, nor have I seen rampant complaining about it on Reddit as Mastodon has here. but if it's happening, it needs to be fixed. I mean, I don't know what else to say other than that.
I think it's just as important as that. It needs to be brought up, but in the midst of having fun, and certainly if you have at this game for 3 hours in a night, your night will be minimally affected. But it does happen. It seems to sort of focus on one person at a time. One person in the squad is the disconnector for that particular instance of play, and everyone else seems to be safe. So it does lead to a bit of what's wrong with me. And I don't think there is anything wrong with you, Mastodon. I think just kind of, it's not necessarily even party leader, even though the text kind of suggests that might be what's happening. You're just special tonight. Congratulations.
Yeah, I mean, keep talking about it. I haven't seen a thread that has taken off on the subreddit, and if there has been one, clearly I missed it. But if it got traction, the community managers are pretty damn active in the Apex subreddit. So I would imagine if everyone keeps talking about it and it gains traction, that we will see a community manager reply. So I would say bring the conversation to somewhere like that. We don't have a line to the community managers, at least not yet. Hey, Respawn, if you're listening, would love to have a dev interview.
Yeah. Toot.
But, yeah, it's something that clearly needs to be fixed. Obviously, if it's happening with you on the regular, there's got to be something going on. So if you haven't already gotten in touch with Respawn, I know they have a bug report area on their forum. I would definitely send in reports of your crash along with the specs for your system, which I know is maddening and unhelpful, but I would recommend you do it. So
most important conversations are maddening and unhelpful, but it's important to have.
Yeah. So anyways, if you want to write in and be a part of Enter the Apex, send an email to amovetv@gmail.com, or if you're in the Amove Discord, drop us a question. There is an Enter the Apex channel in there. It is a public Discord. I will have a link to it in the episode 4 post for this podcast. Head on over to amovetv/Enter Apex and join it yourself. We check there for questions. We check amovetv@gmail.com for questions. So keep writing in. And that's going to wrap it up for this episode. Kyle, you do all sorts of other awesome stuff, man. We're going to start streaming Apex together on Mondays after our lunch break. So we don't currently record the show live. We're talking about possibly doing that in the future. But to give you a peek behind the podcast curtain, we do record it around noon Eastern time on Mondays, and we break for lunch. And now we're talking about after lunch coming back and streaming. And that's exactly what we're going to do today. But the show isn't live, so that's a pointless thing for you to know. But keep your eyes peeled to twitch.tv/Kyle Ferguson for our stream on Mondays, probably starting around 3 p.m. Eastern time.
Correct. That'll be the big Apex stream of the week. And I look forward to broadcasting it today.
Yeah, and I have a brand new super sick computer on its way. Should be here at the end of the week, so we may start multi-Twitch streaming soon.
Yes.
I can't wait. Getting a 280 or 2080. 2080.
My computer's a Frankenstein. What's a 2080?
It's one of the newer NVIDIA cards. It's a beast.
Ah, sweet.
Yeah.
You can run TressFX or Window Brokerage. What the hell? And we were playing Mirror's Edge for the first time ever, and the computer exploded because we had some NVIDIA thing from 2008 checked.
Probably hair tech. I don't know. That's in the Tomb Raider game, which makes Lara Croft's hair go all over the place. But
wasn't that great? We tried it off stream. It wasn't that important. TressFX, get out of here. Geralt had just as good hair, and it didn't destroy my machine.
I love that it's named after a brand of shampoo. Is what I love about it.
Is that really TressFX?
Huh? Tresemme is a brand of shampoo, not sponsored.
Oh.
Yeah.
Do you use it? Do you recommend
it? I do not use Tresemme, no. I have no experience with it. Cannot speak to its quality or lack thereof. But yeah, watch our stream. Check out our Heroes of the Storm podcast, Into the Nexus. If you enjoy yourself a MOBA that some consider to be a dead game, we consider it to still kick total ass and find ourselves having surprisingly good games despite the fact that the esports have been canned.
For now.
It's good. Check it out. Anyways, all the podcasts are over at amove.tv. I'm Garrett Art on Twitter. Kyle is at Kyle Ferguson. You can follow the show at Enter Apex. Keep those 5-star reviews coming if you want the show to grow, to find new listeners. We had a hell of a debut on iTunes, everyone. I cannot thank you enough for the subscriptions, for the 5-star reviews. Keep them coming. It's a brand new podcast, so if you like the show, head on over to iTunes, drop us a 5-star review. It helps us find new listeners and helps us chart better. So thank you very much for that. That's going to wrap it up for this episode. We will see you next week for episode 5. Until then, good luck and have fun.
Take care.